What an incredible Serie A day in terms of news. Allegri, Juventus, the developing situation. Will they fire him before the end of the season? Steven Zhang, Inter, he can't pay the finance loan to Oaktree. Will this mean that Oaktree will become the owners of Inter? Guys, it could happen as soon as Monday and maybe even tomorrow if he doesn't find a deal with PIMCO. So we'll talk about it in a second. Milan, the big rumor this morning is that they're willing to pay the release clause for Zirkzee. And of course, it wouldn't be a Serie A day in terms of news if we didn't talk about De Laurentiis and Napoli. He has stated that Napoli will be in total reconstruction this summer. So incredible news there. He had a lot to say about Baracelli, the coach, and everything else. So let's start right away with Allegri. Allegri, Juventus is winning, extra time. He decides to lose it on the refs. He takes off his jacket, takes off his tie, starts screaming at them, all kinds of nonsense. Then Juventus wins. He tells Giuntoli to remove himself from the celebrations. Then he decides to verbally attack a direttore di newspaper, Tutto Sport, telling him that he should write the truth and not only the stuff that the team is telling him to write, that he knows where he can go find them, that he's going to pull his ears apart, that he's going to punch him in the head. So not a very good look for Allegri yesterday. And this morning, Juventus saying that it doesn't reflect the values of Juventus and they're taking the appropriate considerations for Max Allegri, which basically means that they might sack him before. And they're saying that Montero will come in for the next 2 games. We'll see what happens there. It would be an incredible finish to a disastrous year for Juve, because if they had a good first half, this second half was horrible. And I think I mentioned it in my video yesterday. A lot of Juventus fans probably thinking, where was this Juventus team the second half of the season? Because yesterday they had a very good game against Atalanta. Of course, the freeze between Giuntoli and Allegri because of the new head coach. We all know that Giuntoli is already talking to other coaches and apparently he has a deal with Thiago Motta. Allegri, of course, not appreciating the fact that he's not even out the door and they already have a deal for somebody else. So it's not a pretty look for Allegri. I'm sure he didn't want to finish this way. Yes, he won a title yesterday, but it wasn't the best of endings. For Inter, Oaktree, Steven Zhang, we all know that he had a finance deal with Oaktree. The deadline to repay this finance loan is actually on Monday. They were working on a deal with PIMCO to give them like 400 million euros that he would then use to pay back the loan to Oaktree, meaning that he would then refinance his loan basically through PIMCO. It seems that the deal was going to go through, but today the newspapers are saying there's a lot of difficulty actually finalizing this deal, and so it might not happen. Of course, Oaktree not pushing it for it to finalize, because then that would mean that they are the owners of Inter for a minimum of 350 million euros, something like that. So it would be a bit like the Elliott situation where they took Milan from Mr. Lee and then sold it for $1 billion. So Oaktree, of course, hoping that Zhang won't make it. I'm sure that's going to change the plans for this summer for Inter. What will happen if there's an actual ownership change? I'm sure that's not what they were headed. Although they did announce that Taremi and Zielinski are now new players for Inter next season. So good reinforcements there, but it's a very delicate situation with Zhang and Oaktree. We'll see what happens tomorrow during the day. Apparently, if they can finalize the deal with PIMCO tomorrow, it is done. He won't have enough time to go find the money to give back to Oaktree. So we'll see. Milan apparently very interested in signing Zirkzee. He is the #1 objective for the striker's position next year. 40 million euro release clause. That's what was learned this morning. Apparently, it's valid for all the teams. There was a rumor that it was only valid for Bayern, but apparently 40 million euros. So Milan trying to insert Salzmaker, who Bologna want to buy off Milan. They had the Il Diritto di Riscatto. It's 12 million euros. Could they possibly leverage it to include it in the Zirkzee deal? We'll see what happens. Obviously, I think he would be a great fit next to Leao and Pulisic. Great young forward, able to bring up the squad. Spalla alla porta, he knows how to play. He's not the fastest player, but he's very physical, very big, can score with his head, with his feet. So I think he would be a great number 9 for Milan. Let's hope they can sign him. It would be a very good signing in my for me. In my belief, I think he would be a great signing. Milan, coaching-wise, the number 1 name now would be Fonseca. I am not sure, guys. He coached in Italy before, didn't do much. Yes, he played in Italy as well, but it doesn't convince me. It doesn't convince me. I am not sure. I've said it before. If you're changing Pioli to get a coach that is at the same level, what's the point? Like, get somebody better. Get somebody better. If not, keep Pioli. That's my opinion. But we'll see what happens. And finally, De Laurentiis saying that Napoli will be reconstructed this summer. Somebody asked him about Kvaratskhelia because there's rumors about Barca. He actually said that if he was there at training camp, then fine. And if he wasn't, they were going to live without him. So we'll see what happens. Obviously, I don't think he's going to hold anybody back. If they offer him money for his players, he won't say no. We all know that Osimhen is wanting to leave. Vara's on the fence. So we'll see what happens there. And depending who the new coach is, he might request other types of players. So somebody did mention to him that he was talking to Conte, and he said, you know what? Conte is a name that you guys keep mentioning. I've never mentioned it. Of course, probably downplaying it because he doesn't want everybody to know what he's doing. But it's going to be very interesting because Conte is going to ask some guarantees in terms of players. We'll see. But it's going to be a very interesting summer for all the big teams in Italy. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens with Lazio as well. Tudor, not sure he's going to stay. We'll see what happens with Roma. Dybala, are they going to replace him? Are they keeping him? He's always injured. Who are they going to bring in instead of Lukaku? Guys, a lot of big questions for the big teams in Italy. And if Thiago Motta leaves and Bologna, who are they going to get? Who are they going to get to replace Thiago Motta for next season? Are they going to sell off all the big players? Guys, it's going to be interesting summer. Let me know what you think in the comments. Like, subscribe.